Hello there, people of the internet. I've gotten a bunch of these comments over the years, and I got another one, and it's to the point where I think I should probably make this video just so I have a reference point to where I can send people links versus like replying and responding the way that I normally do. So it normally stems towards the lines of somebody saying something along the lines of 9mm is the best choice. There's a reason why it's so popular. Or 223 is the best choice. There's a reason why it's so popular. Or 308 is the best choice. There's a reason why it's so popular. And I hate to tell you, but just because something is the most popular cartridge, that does not mean that it is the best. Because popularity doesn't mean best. What popularity means is that it is good enough to do the job of what most people need a cartridge to be able to do, and it's cheap. Boy, oh boy, people like to ignore the cheap factor, but it is such a huge, massive staple in why people do the things that they do. Like, actually, just one example, kind of off topic here. A lot of people tell you with 5.56, they say 55 and 62 grain are simply not great, so go out and get yourself some 77 grain OTM or something like that. And I hate to tell you, but that's expensive. Most people aren't going to do that. Most people aren't going to stockpile that. They're going to go out and get the cheapest possible ammo that they can get their hands on, which is going to be your surplus 55 and 62 grain bullets. And I don't care who you are or what you have to say about that. That's just the reality that we live in. And I agree that 55 and 62 grains are not going to be as good as like a 77 grain OTM or maybe something like a VMAX round or something along those lines that would be significantly better against most of the targets that most of us would be coming across that we would need an intermediate caliber 5.56 round to be able to do. But dude, price plays a big point. And price is why most things are popular. Look at 22 long rifle. It doesn't do anything well. Like, the only reason why it's so popular is because it is extremely cheap and extremely small and lightweight to where you can like get a lot of it in bulk in a really small package. That's the only thing it's got going for it. It doesn't do anything good at all, but it's probably the most popular cartridge out there, literally just because of cost. So popularity does not mean that it's the best. As a matter of fact, even with 22 long rifle, the only reason why it's so overwhelmingly popular is not because it's the best, because it's not the best by any stretch of the imagination. It's just cheap and widely available, and that's why people go out to get it. And it's good enough to do what most people need a cartridge like that to be able to do. As a matter of fact, there's people out there that push that cartridge to the absolute extreme. I've seen people take deer with 22 long rifle. Would not recommend it, but it does happen. It is one of those things that that exists. 7.62 by 51 or 308. We're just going to go and call it 308. I get that they're not quite identical, not quite the same, but for the sake of this argument, we're just going to go ahead and say 308. 308 is a 150 grain bullet moving about 2,800 feet per second. Really not all that great of a full power rifle cartridge. It's like right there on the line of becoming an intermediate cartridge, in my personal opinion. Some people might disagree with that one. But 308 is cheap and available and abundant and everywhere, and it does most jobs that most people need a rifle cartridge to be able to do. Most people aren't going after something that a 308 can't handle. Most people aren't shooting at distances that 308 can't shoot at. And most people don't want to spend $150 a round on something like, say, I don't know, 300 Winchester Magnum. It might be a little bit less expensive than that, but you guys see what I'm saying. That's why 308 is so much more popular than some of those other cartridges out there that absolutely blow it out of the water in terms of capabilities. Popularity does not mean best. 5.56. It is not the best cartridge by any stretch of the imagination, like at all. In terms of intermediate rifle cartridges, it is so far on the bottom spectrum of capabilities that we have to argue about things like barrel lengths and twist rates and bullet weights in order to viably and visibly achieve a cartridge that is effective enough for most of us to agree on it being effective. And there's so much controversy behind it that we're always in disagreement. Like, the gun community is so haphazardly divided on the subject of 5.56, what to use, what not to use, what's best with what. And that's because it just barely does things well enough. And that barely limit leads us to essentially what's the word I'm looking for? Not picking straws. Like, the differences between what the cartridge is capable of is so minimal in terms of what most people need a cartridge to be able to do. Like, my point is, it's not great at all, but it is highly popular. It's overwhelmingly popular. And it's cheap, and it's good enough, and that's why it's popular, because it's cheap and it's good enough. Look at something like 30-06. 30-06 has fallen widely out of favor. I am not saying that it's dead, but 308 has absolutely replaced it in popularity in most places here in the United States, simply because of cost. Like, you can get 2 rounds of 308 for the same cost as 1 round of 30-06. And 30-06, especially with heavier bullets, the capabilities of 30-06 are significantly better than that of 308. But it doesn't matter, because most people don't need those increased capabilities, because 308 is good enough to be able to handle what most people need to handle. So, once again, popularity does not mean that it is the best. I don't know why people think because it's popular, it must be the greatest thing ever. And that's simply not the case. It's popular because it is good enough to get the job done, and it's affordable. So thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.